Hello friends, welcome to our channel Mechanical Motivator. In this video, we will be seeing problems on piston and connecting rod. Already we saw the derivation of velocity and acceleration of piston and angular velocity and angular acceleration of connecting rod. We just going to solve two problems based on the end result. The crank and connecting rod of a steam engine is 0.3 meter and 1.5 meter in length. That is, the crank radius is 0.3. So R is equal to 0.3 and connecting rod length is 1.5 meter. The crank rotates at 180 rpm. So N is equal to 180 rpm. So once we have speed means we can easily calculate omega. Omega is the angular velocity. So here 2 is missing. Actually 2 is missing. Omega is equal to 2 pi N by 60. So N is 180. So if you calculate means you will be getting 18.85 radian per second. Determine the velocity and acceleration of the piston when the crank is rotating at 40 degree from inner dead center position. So theta is equal to 40 degree. Determine the position of the crank for zero acceleration of the piston. So we need to calculate the velocity and acceleration of piston, as well as if the crank is rotating at 40 degree from inner dead center position, we need to calculate the position of the crank at zero acceleration of the piston. So these are the given data. So velocity of piston we can easily calculate. So N means ratio of length of the connecting rod to the crank. So N is equal to L is crank length and R is radius. L is connecting rod length and R is crank radius. So L and R value we have. So N value we can easily calculate. So this is the velocity of the piston. So Vp is the velocity of piston. We know the formula. This is the formula. Here theta is 40 degree and omega value we calculated. Radius of the crank we know and N value 5. So substitute all the value and you will be getting an answer. And next we need to calculate the acceleration of the piston. So acceleration of the piston, the formula we already derived in previous video. So in this we can substitute theta as 40 degree and R crank radius, omega is angular velocity we know, N is 5. Substitute all the values and you will be getting the answer. Next we need to calculate the position of the crank. So position of the crank for zero acceleration of the piston. So let us assume that theta won't be the position of the crank from inner dead center for zero acceleration of the piston. So acceleration of the piston formula we know. Just substitute theta 1 because already we used theta, right? So in order to differentiate we are giving some other notation. So theta 1 is the new position of the crank which we need to calculate, and they have clearly given that acceleration of the piston is 0. So substitute the 0 for acceleration of the piston. So AP is equal to 0. Omega, everything we know. Omega value, omega we already know. So omega square. So keep as it is. So R here just take N as common. So just take N as LCM. So you'll be having N cos theta 1 plus cos 2 theta 1 and take N to the other side. So if the entire term goes to the other side means it will become 0. Both omega, R and N, everything will become 0. And here finally we'll be having this this equation around. So N cos theta 1 plus cos 2 theta 1 is equal to 0. So here if you know, if just substitute the value for N we already found 5, right? N is equal to 5. So substitute 5 and here we know very well that this equation can be solved with the help of calculator or minus b plus or minus root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. If you solve means we can easily calculate the value. So finally we can easily get, there will be two values will be coming. One will be in positive and another one will be in negative, and just take the positive value around, take positive value and you will be getting a value of theta as 79.27 degree, or else you will be getting two different values, right? So that's what they have written here. So ultimate aim is we need to calculate the position of the crank for the zero acceleration. So we have calculated. So once you actually one mistake I have done. So if you just take the other end means the entire thing will become 0, no issues. Okay, fine. So next time we will be seeing in a slider crank mechanism, length of the crank and connecting rod they have given us 150 and 600. So R and L value they have clearly given. So just a minute. Yeah. So R is 150. So convert into meter and length value 600. So keep as it is. The crank position is 60 degree from inner dead center. So theta is equal to 60 degree. and the crankshaft, the speed of the crankshaft is 450 rpm. So n is equal to 450. So we can easily calculate 2 pi n by 60. So here also 2 is missing. 2 pi n by 60. You will be getting a value of 47.13 radian per second. In first thing, using analytical method, determine the velocity and acceleration of the slider. Slider is the piston, right? So calculate velocity and acceleration of the slider. And second, angular velocity and angular acceleration of the connecting rod. So totally we need required 4 formulas, and all the 4 formulas we derived. So just take the final result alone. So n is equal to L by R. L is connecting rod length and R is crank radius. You will be getting a value of 4. So here 4 formula. First will be velocity of the slider. So velocity of slider, we know the formula. Omega value we know, R value we know, theta given into question for 60 degree, and n value we just know calculated. Substitute all the value and you will be getting 6.9 meter per second. Acceleration of slider, we have the formula. Acceleration of piston formula, just write as it is and substitute all the known values and you will be getting the value as 124.94 meter per second square. In second case, we need to determine the angular velocity. So angular velocity is omega pc. So we know the formula. Theta is 60 degree and substitute all the value, you will be getting 5.9 radian per second. Next thing is angular acceleration. For angular acceleration, alpha pc. We know the formula, substitute all the known data and you'll be getting directly. So here, if you know all the 4 formulas means, and if you just substitute the given data means, we can easily calculate the value. Do subscribe to my channel, then press the bell icon, then only you'll be getting all the videos which I upload. Thanks for watching this video. Have a great day.